So is there any way that we can make a real-life Godzilla? It seems pretty unrealistic since Godzilla is a big giant dinosaur reptile thing that also happens to breathe fire. But hey, at the same time, it's just a big giant lizard, so I mean, who knows? Maybe there's a way. The closest thing we have to a big lizard is probably the big-toothed, cold-blooded cucumber, also known as a crocodile. Crocodiles look pretty ancient, and it's because they are. They've been around for pretty much 200 million years, so they were there when the dinosaurs there, and they're also still here, which means they've outsurvived the dinosaurs for what, about 65 million years now. One of the reasons they've stayed alive for so long is because they're thought to be somewhat negligibly senescent. This basically means that aging doesn't affect them detrimentally. So essentially, they don't die from old age, rather they die from either injury, disease, or starvation. People have seen crocodiles die in zoos, and even in zoos they still live up to 70 to 100, almost 130 years in some cases. But even then, they only start tracking the age once they get into the zoo, so it's like 100 years plus however long they lived before they got into the zoo. The way they measure a crocodile's age is they'll look at their rings on their teeth, so it's not an exact science, so I mean, it's hard to say how accurate the crocodile's age actually is and how long they can actually live. How could they actually live so long? Well, one of the biggest factors you have to do with aging are the telomeres at the end of chromosomes. Essentially, every time a cell divides, the telomere is going to get just a little bit shorter and shorter. Most of the time this doesn't matter because the telomeres kind of have like a little buffer capsule at the end where if you cut a little bit off, nothing's going to happen. But once the cell divides so many times that the telomere cuts itself close to the chromosome, and then the next time it'll cut off some DNA, the cell's either going to stop dividing altogether or it's going to do it a lot more slowly. That process where the chromosome slowly degrades is what happens in finite lifespan beings, like senescent ones, like humans for example. The cells just degrade over time. But in crocodiles, and theoretically, this wouldn't happen because there would be these enzymes that would keep the telomeres healthy. So essentially, as the crocodile gets older, it would remain just as strong as it was in its prime. So now let's say if we take a pretty big species of crocodile, like the saltwater crocodile, and we put it in an ideal environment where it isn't exposed to any sort of bacteria, and it's giving as much food as it needs to maintain growth, so to accommodate for its size, it's possible that a monstrosity equal to that of a dinosaur can be created. It's possible because the crocodiles have super efficient metabolisms where everything they eat is absorbed, and it's absorbed in the sense that they'll always get longer. So this is one of the biggest crocodiles ever found. It's actually a saltwater crocodile that's measured to be 21 feet long. People have speculated that it died just simply because it got too big and couldn't find anything to eat. So the bigger it gets, the more it needs. It's going to get to the point where it's so big that no matter what it eats, it'll never be full, eventually it'll starve. But if it was in the perfect environment where it could eat whatever it wanted, and it'd always accommodate for its growing size, then it's possible that eventually it could become an almost Godzilla-esque gargantuan. So sure, a fire-breathing reptile stomping down on buildings in Tokyo isn't quite possible using all natural means, but creating a behemoth of a reptile is quite in our realms. All it theoretically takes is a perfect environment to keep the crocodile happy and fed.